Welcome back to another video on Evolution Sports. And this is Weekly Sports Talk with episode 47. And the main topic for today is TNA Under Siege. That event took place yesterday. Great pay per view. And I'm going to get into, well, more than great. And I'm going to get into that near the end. Well, yeah, I got to make a better for it. But we're going to start off. We're going to start off with some WNBA stuff. I'm going to talk about the WNBA. Talk about the Celtics, what's their next move. Talk about the Cardinals, if they're actual contenders. I'm going to speak on the, obviously, my athletes of the week at the end. And as I said, TNA Under Siege. Gotta make that banner real quick to recap. So I'll probably do that near the end. But overreactions to the first week of the WNBA season. No order, really. So I'm going to just start with the Liberty. So far, 2-0. I think I played the least amount of games out of any team so far. But I can just look at that. But I know they're 2-0. They didn't play last night. They might be playing later today. But yeah, I'm just start with the Liberty since they second in the league right. They're second in the league right now as far as conference, as far as league standings go. And my overreaction for them is back-to-back champions. I don't think that's a crazy overreaction. They improved the team, obviously I forgot who they added, but they got a good sign in free agency. And so far, won their first two games. Like I said, they played the least amount of games so far. And the team who's first in the league right now is but I can just look at the standings. But the next team I want to talk about, the Indiana Fever, they're 2-1 so far. And my overreaction for the Fever is Caitlin Clark for MVP. So far, she's had two great games. One game she didn't look, I think it was last game, she didn't look super great, but then she ended up winning that game, and I think she's in to have an MVP type year. She's not the only person that I had a statement for, but she's definitely on the pathway to doing that this season. Don't be surprised if she does win MVP by the end of the season. She's been great so far, and she's clearly improved from last year in her rookie year, where she wasn't bad. She had a great rookie season, but she's definitely improved. Next, the Atlanta Dream, who are 1-2. My overreaction for them is that they will be they'll be the team that plays the most crunch time games this season. And why I say that? Because throughout their first three games, all three have been decided by 5 or less points. All three of their games have been close games, and they haven't been able to close two of them. So they lost two, they won one. So even their next game, I'm expecting. Not saying that I expect it to be close, but it could be just based off how they played through these first three games. For the next team for the Washington Mystics, who are 2-2 so far through their first four games, Sonya Citron and Kiki Erickson are both could be co-rookie of the year. The Mystics are the youngest team in the league, starting both those rookies starting two rookies. They've both made impacts in different ways, and they've both been great so far. Both put up numbers, so I think they could finish top three in the running for rookie of the year, and even split the rookie of the year, winning co-rookie of the year this season. For the Aces, who are 2-1 through their first three games, Asia Wilson won't finish top three in MVP this season. She finished top three the last 2 years. She won last season, if I'm not mistaken. This year, I don't think it's happening. And it's not because but she hasn't looked nearly as good as she did last year. The defense is still there. She's still giving you that. But there's a few other women who have just played better than her so far to start the season in this first week. And once again, these are overreactions. So some of this could come to fruition, some of it might not. It's just me overreacting to the first week of the season as you get a lot of our spring. Next for the Golden State Valkyries, who are 2-1. They're they're 2-1. Have won back-to-back games. They're the new expansion team. My overreaction for them is that they'll make the playoffs. Now, I don't fully believe this, but so far they're in contention for the playoffs. They're They're the fifth seed currently. If they continue to play like this, they might have like a 500 type of year, go 22-22, finish as a 7 or 8 seed, making the playoffs. I don't think it's entirely impossible because I did say that they'll win like 10 games, but they're already on pace to win more than that. And obviously, pacing that 3 games into the season, which on pace to and stuff like that, don't really matter, but that's how I'm looking at it. For the next team, the Phoenix Mercury. My overreaction for them is the 2-1 record is a fluke. It's only 3 games to the season, so how can you say it's really a fluke? I don't think they'll be. Um, they're currently the 3 seed of the playoff when it starts today. I don't think they're a negative team. I think they're going to lucky win so far. I think they're going to keep this. Next is the LA Sparks, who are what the LA Sparks said they are 1-3 so far. It's not even an overreaction, but they need Cameron Brink back. They definitely need Cameron Brink because she's there. It might be 3, maybe 2-2, just depending. Because obviously you got Chelsea playing there now, the new member of the team. But if they have Cameron Brink, they win at least one of those 3 games that they lost so far. And obviously she's out with an injury. I don't know the timetable for her return, but they definitely need her back as soon as possible. For the Storm, for the Seattle Storm, who are 2-1, this one isn't super outrageous. There's Skylar Diggins making an All-Star game. I don't think that's nothing crazy. She's been an All-Star before. I couldn't really come up with nothing for the Storm because they're just having the season I expected so far through 3 games. It's not really nothing surprising about them with the way their games have been played, watching a few of their games. Like, I'm not really surprised or not surprised or disappointed by the Storm. I'm just having a typical 2-1 start because I think it just depends on how the games are played. They'll play some good games, so that's what I got for them. For the Connecticut Sun, they're on 3 so far, and I think they will finish as the worst team in the W. I think, like I said, not predicted, they'll agree to finish as the worst since they're an expansion team when I first did my predictions. But with the overreactions, this isn't just me overreacting to make a take for just for that reason, but the Connecticut Sun gutted their entire roster. It's so different from last year that it's going to be hard to build chemistry with really anybody here and your coach. So it's like, it's a lot of plot holes with this team. So that's why I don't have faith in them. They could put, like, I don't think they're making the playoffs, but they could, like I already said, they won't make the playoffs, but they could finish with one of the worst records in the league. They could definitely be a team like that. Then next, oh goodness, the Minnesota Lynx, another MVP candidate, the future Colley. I think so far she's the MVP. Just through the first week of the season, she's having an MVP type year. She was close last year. She led them all the way to the finals last year, and they lost 3-2 to the Liberty in 5 games. So Nafisa Collier, great season, great two-way player. And I think her defense has improved this year from last year. They're potentially looking at the MVP and an all-defensive team in Nafisa Collier this year. For the Chicago Sky, who are 0-2, I don't think nobody on this team averages 20 plus, and that's because they're desperately missing Kennedy Carter. They weren't able to re-sign her in free agency. Obviously, she gets trippy and stuff like that, but you need people like that. But she was getting them buckets, and the Chicago Sky don't have it now. So the Chicago Sky, and it's gonna be a rough season. That's why I said they won't make the playoffs. Andrew Reese was their leading scorer in the first game. Not that Andrew Reese is bad. I'm not going to sit up here and disrespect Andrew Reese. And she has like a Dennis Rodman, Rudy Gobert type archetype. There's just nothing wrong with that. Like Dennis Rodman, a Hall of Famer, Rudy Gobert will be Hall of Fame. Like Angel Reese, she's great on defense. Obviously, offense needs to improve, but she's doing stuff on defense, and she isn't getting much help from her teammates on the offensive game. So before y'all talk to Angel Reese, look at that entire Sky team. Went from last year to this year. Were they close to making the playoffs last year? Because you had Kennedy Carter. She was a bucket getter. She gave you intense defense. She was just doing it all from last year. They don't have that now. So you don't really have your go-to scorer down that team. And for the Wings, my favorite team, we're 0-3 so far. My overreaction for us is that we finished bottom 2 in the league again. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But so far, that's how bad we look. We are 12th again. Well, we're bottom two again. That might be the case once again. Hopefully, it's not. That's me overreacting. Now, let's talk about the Celtics. So let's talk about some basketball. I well, talk about men's basketball now and what's in store for them with their future. And then after this, I will do the TNA under siege recap. But the Celtics, they have, and I'm gonna read off their contracts because I think this is very important. Then obviously they flamed out in the second round. They lost to the Knicks in 6 games in a series that everybody thought the Celtics was winning. Everybody said Celtics Cavs conference finals. Didn't happen. We got the Knicks and Pacers, which is one of the biggest rivalries in playoff history. So if you're a true basketball fan, you love the fact that those two teams met in the playoffs once again. Back last year in the second round, went to 7, the Pacers won. This year in the conference finals, and the Pacers are up 2-0, taking both games in Madison Square Garden. But let's get into the Celtics. They have and this is everybody from the rotation. Al Horford and Luke Kornet are both free agents. Now that's some good defense. Al Horford gives you defense, gives you good shooting. Like his age, like I know we always talk about LeBron being Father Time. Al Horford has done that as well. And I think with him, what he's been able to do and provide for that team, if they're not able to bring him back, that's going to be a crucial loss. Same with Luke Kornet. Obviously, he comes in there and gives you some rebounding, gives you some easy paint points, and gives you some defense. So you don't want to lose either one of these guys. But is it realistic for them to keep them? Not if they don't want to take pay cuts. Because Luke Kornet, with the way he played when Porzingis was out with his injury, he could get someone. He could go to a good team. Like if OKC needed a center, I could see Luke Kornet going there. But a team like the Lakers or the Warriors who need size, they might be targeting somebody like Luke Kornet, who they've seen he had a playoff game with 7 blocks. Like, that just doesn't come out of nowhere. Somebody has talent and they're able to do that in a playoff game. The most important stage of your career. And then you have Sam Hauser, 4 years left on his contract. Pritchard, 3 years left on his contract. And obviously, you can get 3-point shooting and good bench production out of them. So that you're not worried about. Derek White has 4 years left, a player option on his last year. So Derek White, you got locked down. And Drew Holiday, he has 3 years left for the player option on his last year. Drew, so you still got him for at least 2 more years. So I think Drew, they could explore trading Drew Holiday, but I don't know what they will get back from it. And then when I look at the other contracts, Jason Tatum, 5 years left, but that 5th year he has a player option. But he has a ruptured Achilles, so his season next year is in jeopardy. We don't know when he'll be back. So it's like if you really make any, I don't think the Celtics should make any drastic moves because you don't even know how when Tatum will be back. Because like if you make a drastic move now and then Tatum come back, that messes up the chemistry to an extent. I mean, you got Porzingis who has 1 year left, but he hasn't really been effective the last 2 years. He didn't even play much in the finals last year when they won. So Porzingis, even though he has 1 year left, this might be the perfect time to trade him. Then Jaylen Brown, he got 4 years left. So you should, at least for the next 2 years, you got Brown, Tatum, White, Pritchard, and Drew Holiday. Sam Hauser, of course, because obviously he shoots the threes, so I can't leave him out. But Jason Tatum, with him having a ruptured Achilles, I feel like that changes things because there's no need for you to make any drastic moves. Let's just let that core rock out. Maybe let Porzingis walk in free agency or do a sign and trade to get something back, or try to trade him now since his value might be higher right now than if you wait another season, then things just go bad. Like you just don't know. So it's all going to depend on what the Celtics want to do and how long Tatum is out. Obviously, you want to bring back Al Horford and Luke Kornet, but the thing about all these contracts is everybody's contracts go up the following year. So it's like the Celtics, I don't know what's the best move for them to make right now, because Tatum injury just pushes everything back. With Tatum's injury, if I'm the Celtics, I wouldn't do anything. I would try to bring back Horford and Kornet, actually they're willing to take a pay cut. If they're not, then let them walk. You could probably find something. You could probably trade. You could probably get like a Nick Claxton if you wanted to. Because Porzingis, at this point in his career, it's kind of like when you do him for Nick Claxton, even though it's not, they don't have the same value. Like Nick Claxton is a better player right now because he's gonna give you some solid offense. He's gonna give you great defense. He's a better defender than Porzingis, and I think he will fit well with the Celtics. Even though it's not some elite 3-point shooter, you don't always need that. Luke Cornett isn't a great 3-point shooter. He just comes off the bench and gets some solid production. But I think Nick Claxton come there and start with Jaylen Brown, with Derek White, with Drew Holiday, and that'll still be a solid team. This team is not better without Tatum. They could still be like a 7 or 8 seed without him. Like obviously with Tatum, they're a second seed, and that's a huge difference because that's home court. That's home court for the first 2 rounds of the playoff compared to home court never if you're a 7 or 8 seed. So that's why it's so yeah. Obviously, Tatum's injury is going to affect a lot of things, but don't know what's going to happen. I wouldn't trade anybody unless I absolutely have to, or if it's something very intriguing on the table. So we'll see what happens with all that. But let me know what y'all think about that. And now we can move into the biggest part of the show for today, the TNA Under Siege recap. Let me just say, this pay-per-view was fantastic by TNA. This was the best wrestling pay-per-view of the year. Hands down. 10 out of 10. And the way it started on the kickoff show, had Santino Marella and Robert Stone. Santino was like, we want Robert Stone not to go too far with Ariana Grace, who was his daughter. And it was like, that was just a good segment to get the pre-show started. The crowd hype all night. Just watching it on my phone, on my computer, just seeing the crowd. Like that crowd was lit. They was excited for the show. Then the kickoff show match you had with Zara Brookside. Brookside taking on Rosemary. This was a fun match. One-on-one match. Zara Brookside has never beaten Rosemary in her career, and they continue tonight. But Rosemary wants to bring the dark side out of Zara Brookside, and she was able to do that. Because when Zara Brookside got the chance to hit Rosemary with the belt, she did that. She unloaded with the belt, like a regular belt you wear, title belt. She unloaded with the belt, then she unloaded on some officials, and the dark side of Zara Brookside finally came out. This has been one of Zara Brookside's best feuds of her career, probably her best, because Rosemary really knows how to elevate people, and she's hit that here. Great match. Obviously, it ended in a DQ. Rosemary got the win, so Zara Brookside has still never beaten Rosemary, but the story will continue, and I'm happy that it will, because that is a great way to start the show. That's a great pre-show match. Then you start the show with everybody's thinking Mike Santana shaking on AJ Francis, and I was like, why is this starting the show? And then what they did with it, it was AJ Francis came out on a crutch. He was like, I got too excited when I was stepping out of my limousine and my leg hurting, so I can't compete. Then he puts Casey Navarre in the match. Casey Navarre's confused, but I ain't know I was wrestling. So then you get Casey Navarre versus Mike Santana. Nobody questions it. Ooh, what a match to start the show. Like Casey Navarre, he had some cool spots in the match. But Mike Santana, obviously, he gonna do his thing on his quest to win the TNA World Championship. Casey Navarre hit a pretty good DDT that I was really impressed by. He had, when AJ Francis was on the mic, he disrespected the Maple Leafs because they was in Brampton, Canada, something like that. And the crowd was lit from this match on. Like even in the kickoff show, the crowd was into it. The rolling back suplex from, it was something like that from that Mike Santana did. It was pretty good. Casey Navarre faked the injury, but Mike Santana wasn't falling for it. He took advantage of it by showing that he's a veteran, not going to lay down and do nothing stupid. And Mike Santana ended up winning. It was an amazing opening match. And then AJ Francis, then Mike Santana tried to show respect to Casey Navarre, and AJ Francis attacked him after. And then Casey Navarre was kind of confused. He just joined in on the attack. But Casey Navarre and AJ Francis, I wish they would have became tag champions, but it looks like they're going to split up soon. But what they're doing is really good. This is a better way to tell a tag team split up. A lot of companies aren't able to tell an interesting tag team split up nowadays, but this I'm actually interested in. Great match. Shouts to Casey Navarre. Obviously wasn't playing the story of him not knowing that he was supposed to be in the match. Like his facial expressions, his reactions been really good in this story. So great match for Mike Santana, Casey Navarre. Good stuff. Good mic work from AJ Francis per usual. Let's get into the next one. Cody Deaner fighting for his career against Eddie Edwards. And Eddie Edwards tried to he was trying to push Cody Deaner around and start the match. The refs seeing Alyssa Edwards getting involved, and she wondered that she'd do it again. She'd get sent to the back. And then it was interference from Alyssa Edwards multiple times during the match, but it was fine because Eddie Edwards said he was going to do anything he can to get Cody Deaner out of TNA because it's his match for his job. Cody Deaner lost, he's out of his job. Alyssa Edwards and Cody Deaner did it's one of his best matches over the last few years. He got a lot of good offense in. He was doing the thing. Cody Deaner looked great in this match. He was able to do his thing. Eddie Edwards did his thing. Uh, Then the match ended with Alyssa Edwards hitting a low blow, allowing Eddie to get the win. So Cody Deaner, he's officially done with TNA now. Then the system came out there, the rest of the system, they came out there, started disrespecting uh, Cody Deaner. He led to the Northern Army coming out there, who are all from Canada. And then there was like they came to Cody Deaner's defense and the fans' defense since the system was disrespecting the fans. Then get an impromptu 6-man tag team match between the system and the Northern Army, which the Northern Army ended up winning with what's his name, Eric Young pinning Moose. So that'll lead to a championship match soon. But they're both former TNA World Champions, so that's acceptable. But it was a good match, an impromptu match nobody was expecting. It was a good match. I like how they built it up. Obviously, the Northern Army are still heels, but since they're from Canada, obviously role changes when you're in your home state or home country. So I like how they played into that. Now this next match, I said the opening match with Mike Santana and Casey Navarre was amazing, but this next match was also amazing. This might have been better than the opening match. But the Elegance brand versus Spitfire for the Knockouts Tag Team titles, what a match! That's definitely one of the best matches of the month. Like, like it's a few matches. Like none of the matches on TNA were bad on Under Siege. But let's just stick to this match. A no DQ match for the Knockouts Tag Team titles. If Spitfire loses, they disband. They did it last time and they retained their titles. And this time they had to do it to get the titles back. So let's get into it. Uh, the Elegance brand, they tried to embarrass Jody Threat in front of her parents, who were ringside. Had a blue thunder bomb to Ash onto the chairs. That was a cool spot. I forgot who did that move. It was a bunch of stuff used. It was like makeover kits, umbrellas, and, glitter. It was a whole bunch of stuff being used. It was a bottle of champagne. Like it was just a lot of weapons and a lot of chaos, but it was a fun match. Danny Luna and Heather Pritt and Heather by Elegance, they went at it for a little bit. The personal concierge started dancing out of nowhere, which was hilarious. Then somebody did like a power slam to him. I forgot who was Spitfire did that. Then Maggie Lee, she interfered. She kicked Danny Luna onto the table and her head hit hard. I think she was fine. Hopefully she was, because it looked bad. But Ash ended up pinning Jody Threat and the Elegance brand retained. So now Spitfire has to split up. I don't know where Spitfire goes from here because they were one of the best tag teams. Now Ash and Heather deserve to retain. I'm glad they did retain. But where Spitfire goes from here, not sure. Just got to keep up with TNA to see what happens with it. But I'm not mad at them splitting up because and they didn't have to break up with each other like how they turned their backs on each other. But this was a good way to do it. They put the pressure on themselves and they just weren't able to pull through this time. Order 4, which is the Great Hands, Mustafa Ali, and Tasha Steele, took on Indy Hartwell, uh, the Rascals, and Ross Singh, or something like. Honestly, forgot his name, but as soon as the match started, got all 8 people brawling, and then Singh he ran through everybody in like a 1 minute span, so that was a cool spot in the match. Ali sold a clothesline really good. Like Mustafa Ali, he knows how to sell. He's great at that. One of the best. Indy Hartwell, she had She did a cutter to Tasha Steele onto everybody, like it was a battle of all the men, and she was gonna hit like a triple suplex. And Indy Hartwell and Tasha Steele, they were fighting on top of the men, and then Indy hit a cutter. It's an amazing spot. I was trying to see Ali did a baseball shot to Indy Hartwell right to her face. So just taking Indy Hartwell out the equation. Then Ali hit a 450 smash to the Racine dude, and it ended up with order 4 winning the match. Really good match. I enjoyed it. Then I think they Ali attacked the Racine dude after that, and then Tasha Steele was trying to stop him. Ali just pushed Tasha Steele. I don't know where they're going with that because Order 4 just got together, so teasing them breaking up don't really make sense. But we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, what I say about the first match that well, the first match on the main show, Mike Santana and Casey Navarre amazing, and Spitfire Elliot's brand amazing. Let's keep it going with the amazing matches. Ariana Grace and Tessa Blanchard. I did not expect this match to be as good as it was. Like Ariana Grace don't really wrestle a lot on NXT. Like I know she wrestles from time to time, and then she just made her TNA debut, and then Robert Stone banning Santino from ringside was hilarious. But this match, like as good as it was, I was not expecting that. Tessa Blanchard, she was in complete control early on. Then Ariana Grace, she hit a belly to back suplex, and I was impressed. Like I've never seen her do that before. Then Ariana Grace had a back elbow as well. She was getting some really good offense in during this match. And I'm looking on my notes to see what some other memorable spots from this match. It was a good back and forth between the two. Like obviously Tessa wasn't in control early, but once Ariana got her footing, like this was a really good match. I enjoyed this. Tessa Blanchard hit a cutter, but Ariana Grace was able to kick out, which I don't think anybody was expecting. The crowd was behind Ariana Grace. Like she did, even though it's against Tessa Blanchard, and obviously, we know why people don't like Tessa Blanchard, but the crowd was really behind Ariana Grace. Like she was getting some good reactions throughout this match. Tessa Blanchard did end up winning, which it makes sense because it's Ariana Grace's TNA debut, but Tessa Blanchard, she's a dominant heel in the women's division. So her winning makes sense, but this was an amazing match. I enjoyed this. Like the women's matches they had on this card were really good. Some of the best women's action I've seen all year. Then Robert Stone, he told Santino to go to the back, told his loser daughter to go with him. And it was, yeah, 4 security guards against Santino. Then later in the show, Santino, he was like, I want to wrestle again. I want to match against Robert Stone. And Ariana Grace was like, no, let's do this together because I want to get my hands on Tessa Blanchard again. So Santino might be wrestling again. And he's going to be teaming up with his daughter soon. I'm there for that. I can't wait for that. Then the next match, Knockout Championship match with Victoria Crawford and Masha Slamovich. Really good match. Robert Stone ringside with Victoria Crawford interfering, but his interference didn't pay off. It was a fast-paced offense by Masha to get the match started. Robert Stone caused a few distractions throughout the match, like I said, that allowed Victoria to take control at one point during the match. Victoria hit a package power driver that Masha usually does, but Masha was able to kick out because it's her move that she uses all the time. And, Masha Slamovich, she ended up hitting the referee on accident, and that's when Victoria Crawford used the championship to her advantage. But Masha was able to survive the interference and retain her knockout championship. It was a good match. It was good back and forth. Victoria Crawford obviously only got offense in with Robert Stone interfering, but I understand that she hasn't wrestled in a while, so she's still getting her footing back and into wrestling. But good match. Those were great women's matches. Like all 3 women's matches were really good on last night's show. Like they all have like all 3 of them when I look at it, like, oh, this could be the match of the month. This like that's how many they had multiple match of the month candidates on this one card alone. And they had 10. That's 4. And I'm looking at my notes to make sure how many matches they had. That's 4. They had like 10 matches, and about half these matches could be considered match of the month type candidates. And 4 of them were, 3 of those matches were women's matches. So I think they had 4 women's matches on the card in general. So they did a good job showing did a great job featuring women on the card. And then Masha Slamovich, she was like, I want I want to pick Face this time. I want to pick somebody who's earned it. She called out Lei Ching Lee, with, and then she came out there. She couldn't get nothing out because Rob Jones, like, she got to earn it on Impact, even though he handed Victoria Crawford the title match as soon as he got there. So, funny interaction, but we will see what happens this Thursday. Then get to the Nemos defending their tag titles against Leon Slater and Matt Hardy. If Leon Slater becomes a champion anytime before September 27th, he'll be the youngest champion of any kind in TNA history. But let's get into the recap of the match. Didn't take, and then obviously the Nemos handed the Hardys they gave the Hardys their guaranteed rematch clause in Canada, which, Jeff Hardy can't travel to for reasons. So Leon Slater had to fill in for Jeff Hardy. And that's how you get here. Not long before all four guys just went at it to start the match. Excuse me. The Nemos were able to isolate Leon Slater early on into the match. Ryan Nemo did some good heel work, pulling down with Matt, not allowing Leon to make the tag at first when he initially needed to make the tag. He was able to make it, and Matt got in the ring, did some stuff with Nick Nemo. Nick was in control for a good part of it. Couldn't really seem to put away Matt Hardy. Nick had a twist of fate, which Matt was able to kick out of. The poetry and motion led to the big play Slater, the move that he always hits when he goes over the top rope. So that was a great spot. Then Ryan held Matt, allowing Nick to super kick him, and the Nemos were able to retain their tag titles in a great match. So, yeah. And then the main event. Frank Guzerian, Trick Williams came up to take on Elijah and Joe Hendry. What a main event. It's such a great thing that this was the main event. Obviously, with Trick Williams and Joe Hendry having the story they have, having the rivalry and feud they have so far. Elijah started the match off with Frank Guzerian. Frank and Trick weren't working well together at first because Frankie even ignored Trick for a tag early on. Then Trick and Elijah went at it for a little bit. They had a good back and forth in the ring. They had some good interactions throughout the match. Trick and Frankie, they weren't working well together. They had some miscommunications. Frankie even tried to walk to the back at one point. And Trick at the end was like, "No, we're not doing this. It's a tag team match. I might not like you, but we're going to finish this tag team match." Then Joe and Elijah, they attacked them, both sent them into the ring, over the barricade, fought into the crowd, then fought out of the crowd. Then, like in the second half of the match, Frankie and Trick finally started working together because they realized if they want to win, they had to work together. So they were finally able to do that. Do some good tag team stuff. And Joe and Trick, they finally were able to get their hands on each other late in the match. Trick had to stare down with Joe, and he hit the trick shot on Elijah, but Elijah was able to kick out or something like that. And then Trick he accidentally hit a trick shot on Frankie, taking him out the match and allowing Frankie to take the pins because Joe ended up pinning Frankie for the win. And then that's how the match ended with Joe Hendry and Elijah standing tall. Then Joe had to stare down with Trick Williams. Once again, this is the best pay-per-view of the year from any wrestling company. Only pay-per-view I consider a 10 out of 10. From start to finish, even promos, like matches, all 10 match card. Yeah, let me make sure you had 10 matches. And they had like 5. And half of the matches were match of the month candidates, and the other half were good matches. Like, none of these matches were bad. Mike Santana, Casey Navarre, amazing opener, one of the best of the year, match of the month candidate. Was Elegance Brand versus Spitfire, no DQ match. That was amazing. Ariana Grace, Tessa Blanchard, really fun match. Masha Slamovich, Victoria Crawford, amazing. Then Elijah and Trick Williams, Elijah and Joe Hendry teamed up to take on Frank Guzerian and Trick Williams. Like, just 5 amazing matches. Like match of the month, match of the year type candidates. Like these, like when I do my wrestling awards at the end of the month, which will be next week, like I might be talking about one of these 5 matches as the best match of the month, one of the best matches of the year down the line. That's how good this card was. Like no bad act on the card. Every match was good. Every interference made sense. It wasn't. They didn't overdo the interferences. Like 10 out of 10 pay per view. You had a good kickoff show. You had 4 women's matches on a 10 match card, which is really good because that's some of the best representation for women. Like obviously, because they didn't no need to split it because it don't have to be 50-50. But 40-60, that's a perfect balance for a women's to men's action. But this was a really, and not even because one you had well, it kind of was 50-50 because you had a match that in order for versus Rascals, Indy Hartwell and Racine, like that match featured 2 women in it. So you had some good women's representation throughout the show. Like the men and women got an even amount of spotlight, got good places on the card. Best pay-per-view of the year. I don't think it's anything that can top this. We'll see, but this, in my opinion, is the best pay-per-view of the year. Now let's get into some football. The Steelers, who will be their quarterback? Nobody knows because right now they have, well, you have Mason Rudolph, who's going to be your starter for now, who had 28 throughout his 5 years in the league. Has played 29 games, has 4,615 yards, 28 touchdowns, and 20 interceptions. If Mason Rudolph is your starting quarterback, you're not going anywhere. Obviously, somehow they've won 10 games the last few seasons and made the playoffs. They might do that again and just sneak into the playoffs, especially with Mike Tomlin still there. And they have a great defense. But if this team, like as far as talent goes, this team isn't bad. They're not going to act up, set up here like this some terrible team. But it's not some amazing team either. Like you also have Will Howard, who's a rookie from OSU, and he spent 4 years at KSU. So you have a 5-year rookie quarterback coming into the league, and he's going to be your backup. Then you have Skylar Thompson, who's your third string, and in 10 games in 2 years, has a touchdown and interception ratio of 1-3, has a 58.1 completion percentage and 721 yards. So this Steelers quarterback room is terrible. They don't have anything. And there's room for them getting Aaron Rodgers last year, had 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, a 63 completion percentage, 3,897 yards, and played in all 17 games for the Jets last season. So can Rodgers be good? Yeah, he was good last year. Was he great? No, he will never be the Packers Aaron Rodgers that we know. But this team, so let me look at the weapons that they have because I have a screenshot. So as far as your running backs go, you got Jaylen Warren, who's actually pretty solid. I like Jaylen Warren. Caleb Johnson, don't know much about him. And Kendall Gainwell came from my Eagles. He's not going to do nothing for them. Then as far as receivers go, you got DK Metcalf, Robert Woods, and Calvin Austin third. Not the best receiver core. DK Metcalf be solid. Like him and Rodgers might have the 2 older guys, so that could work. Then you got Pat Freiermuth, who's a good tight end. But defense is still going to be great. Like, that's the reason why they're able to stay in the playoff hunt consistently because of how good defense is. They might miss the playoffs. They'll still have like an 8-1 season or something like that. That's the Steelers are able to pull that off. But should they sign Aaron Rodgers? Yeah, because you can't keep Skylar Thompson. You should sign Aaron Rodgers, make Mason Rudolph the third string, keep Will Howard the second string, just give him something. Forgot where I was at, but the Steelers they have some solid talent, but it's not. I'm talking about as far as offense goes, because defense is still going to be amazing. It's probably be one of the best in the league. But as far as they should sign Aaron Rodgers, make Rudolph the third string, Howard the second string, but still have trying to do what he did for Jordan Love. Like just sit behind him, even though it's just going to be for a year, maybe 2. Because I think Rodgers got 1 year left in him. That's it. But Will Howard sitting behind Mason Rudolph, it's not going to help him. He's just behind Aaron Rodgers or Kirk Cousins. If they're able to get him, that'll help. But as far as the Steelers quarterback situation goes, I mean, if this team don't have an actual quarterback, they're going to lose games. Like they won't have that. Even though the defense going to have to put up more touchdowns than the offense, like they've been doing. That might not be true, but that's what it seemed like. It seemed like the defense got a lot of touchdowns, a lot of scoring for the Steelers these last few years. That's what's gonna have to happen. But we'll see. And then next, some baseball. Since I ain't talking about baseball in a minute, can my Cardinals win the World Series? Well, looking at the, we were 28 and 23, second in the National League Central, 17 and 8 at home, 11 and 15 on the road, which could kill us in the playoffs. Seven best record wise in the National League. So I think we'll be out the playoffs at the moment. Yeah, we might be a wild card team, but then Lars Nootbaar and Donovan Contreras, they've been really good this season. They are 5-4 in our last nine, 6 and yeah, 5-4 in our last 9 games. It's great. And then the Cubs are 3 games ahead of us in the National League Central. I think we go on another winning streak like the one we just had where we won 6 or 7 in a row. We can definitely catch the Cubs, but we'll fail back going 5-4 in our last 9, and now we're at 30. Because they're 31 and 20, and we're 28 and 23. So they definitely have a small gap on us, but that small gap can become big or it can become small. Like, it all depends. Because you never know in baseball. With 162 game season, you just got to be hot at the right time. So we're going to have to see what happens, because I think we can catch them, but I don't think it's realistic for us to contend for the World Series. I would love for us to. I don't think that's actually possible. But we can make the playoffs with how good we've been this season, even though it's been inconsistent, and this is what I've been saying all year. If you want to win, we can't be this inconsistent. Like Sonny Gray, he's doing a good job pitching for us, but we need to start Sonny Gray more. Start Sonny Gray more, because I think he's been our best pitcher this season. Then Lars Nootbaar having a great year. If we have a few more wins, we might be talking about Lars Nootbaar in MVP discussions. And I'm being serious. Like, Lars Nootbaar, he could be in the MVP discussion if our record was just a bit better, because we're the 7th best team in the National League. Like, we were the 5th best team or the 4th best team in the National League. Like, he has serious MVP potential. So we just got to see what happens with that. And then, like I said, Donovan Contreras, that'd be good too. I'm getting somebody. Arnado, he still doesn't want to be there, but it's like he's been playing solid for us, so we can get to the playoffs and convince him to stay, then cool. But because I don't know how many years he got left on the contract, but hopefully this is just a spark for him to stay, and maybe we can make a run this year. But I think we're contending for the playoffs, but are we contending for the World Series? Nah. And then to end it with athletes of the week, first for the PPA, I went with Jesper Stevenson. He went 2-0, winning both his games by combined 92 points to advance against EJ Tackett to advance to the PPA finals, which is playoff finals, which is taking place either today or tomorrow. As I film this, I'm not really sure, but I'll find out once I get done recording. For AEW, I went Kyle Fletcher, beat AR Fox in a one-on-one match and beat Jay Lethal in a one-on-one match, both on collisions. Both two great matches that I enjoyed. So shout out Kyle Fletcher. For the NBA, I went with Shea, averaging 34.5 points, 4 rebounds, 8.5 assists, 3 steals on 45, 16, 82 splits so far against the Thunder, against the Wolves, not the Thunder, against the Wolves, and they're up 2-0 in the series. And that 16% for free, you might say, oh, that's bad. He's only attempted 6 threes for 2 games. He's 1 of 6, yes, but he hasn't taken a crazy amount of threes, which is why. Because if he's not making them, he's not shooting. So 1 of 6, even though that's bad, he isn't shooting. He isn't jacking up a bunch of threes. And he's getting to the line. He's getting to the free throw line. You can say whatever you want. He's getting to the line, which shows that he's being aggressive, playing in the paint, getting downhill. Shout out to Shea. For the NHL, when with Sergio Barbowski, only giving up 2 goals so far, has 50 saves of 48 save attempts and a 96 save percentage. And the Florida Panthers lead Carolina Hurricanes 2-0 so far, and they were on the road for both of those games. For the MLB, Carlos Correa in his return, for the Twins and a 3-1 win against the Royals. He had 2 runs, 2 hits, 1 RBI, and 1 home run. Great way for him to return. Obviously, just played 1 game this week, but that's a really good return. And for the WNBA, I went with the Fisher Collier, leading the Lynx to a 4-0 record to start the season. Last week, I gave it to Kelsey Plum with her 37-point effort, but the Lynx went 3-0 this week, so they can improve to 4-0 now. And the Fisher Collier against the Sparks had 23 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, and 1 block on 10 of 18 from the field, 2 or 3 from 3, and a 1-1 from the free throw line. And a win versus the Wings, a second win against the Wings to start the season already. 28 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block. And a 13 from the field, 0 3 from 3, 12 or 12 from the free throw line. And last night, I think, last night, she had 33 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 3 blocks on 11 or 21 from the field, 3 or 4 from 3, 8 or 10 from the free throw line, and a win versus Sun. So in FIFA Collier, great year so far. This is why I said I have her in the running for MVP so far. For New Japan Pro, I went with Master Wato, who went 3-0 this week. He had 2 matches in the Best of Super Juniors tournament. Won both of those matchups, and then he won a tag team match for 3-on-3, if I'm not mistaken. A good tag team match. For WWE, I went with LA Knight. He won his qualifying match against Alex Black and Shinsuke Nakamura. I watched the triple threat this morning. A great match. Really enjoyed it. And then for TNA, since that was the main topic, I'm going to close with them for this week. Trick Williams and... Not Trick Williams. I keep getting names mixed up. But Elijah and Joe Hendry, because they went 2-0 this week tagging together. They beat Moose and Brian Myers on the main event of Impact. It was a really good tag team match. Then to end TNA Under Siege, they defeated Frank Kazarian and Trick Williams in the main event. But it was an amazing match. Like I said, one of the best matches I've seen this month. And 2-0 this week for both of them. Even Joe Hendry with the concert was really dope on NXT. So Joe Hendry and Elijah had to give it to him. The tag team action has been great. I'm excited to see the story of when that eventual split is going to happen. They've done a good job building it up and making it seem like Elijah is just there to be friends, buddy with Joe Hendry. But we know what it's going to lead to in the end. But I'm messing with it. So those are my athletes of the week. As I said, to close the show, leave a like, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel. Like I said, overreactions, I think Future Collier for MVP, and we'll see what happens. The Celtics don't make any drastic moves. The Steelers find a way to get Aaron Rodgers or with Kirk Cousins. You're going to need a real quarterback to win games. Mason Rudolph isn't winning you anything. The St. Louis Cardinals, hopefully we make the playoffs. And TNA Under Siege, take review of the year. Hope y'all enjoyed this. Like I said, leave a like, subscribe on the channel, comment on the video, and share with others to see. And that wraps up Weekly Sports Talk with Ed, episode 47.